So as I was saying, uh, he took me as far as a green garden. It was a flowing river surrounded by flying angels. Every day they would fly to the earth 1,000 times to look upon the friends of God, faces radiant as the sun, who had known me according to the marifa of the earth that is on the earth. Marifa is the knowledge. When they approached me, greeted me, took me down to the shore of that river. Upon its banks were trees of light, with numerous boughs hanging out into the air. Upon each bough was the nest of a bird, that is one of the angels. So he has these trees of light with these birds in them that are angels. And in every nest was an angel bowing down in prayer. Throughout all that I was saying, oh my dear one, my goal is other than what you are showing me. Be for me, dear one, a protector and companion of companions. Then there surged up in the secret of my heart something like the thirst of the flame of longing, so that the angels with their trees were reduced to a gnat alongside my aspiration. They were all gazing at me, amazed and astonished at the grandeur of what they saw in me. When Allah Most High knew the sincerity of my will in the quest for him, and my self-divestment of everyone beside him, behold, there was an angel extending his hand, drawing me towards him. Third heaven. Then I saw myself of his side driven to the third heaven. All the angels with all their qualities and attributes had approached me and greeted me. Suddenly, from among them, an angel stood with 4 faces. Actually, there's 4 faces in the Enoch of Moses. He sees the same thing. A face turned toward the heaven that wept tears without cease. A face turned towards the earth that cried out, O servants of Allah, the day of cessation, the day of seizure, the day of reckoning. A face whose right side was turned towards angels reciting Allah's praises, and a face whose left side sent forth an army into the quarters of the heavens to chant throughout them the praises of Allah. I saluted him, and he returned my salutation. Then he said, who are you to be preferred over us? I said, a servant whom Allah Most High, Allah, has granted a share of his favor. He said, do you wish to look upon the marvels of Allah? I said, of course. He spread out one of his wings, and behold, on each of his feathers there was a lamp whose light would darken the sun. Then he said, come up, Ta'ali. There's a play on the words Ta'ala and then Ta'ali. Oh, Abu Yazid, take shape in the shade of my wing, where you can recite the praises of Allah until death. Then I said to him, Allah is able to release me from all need of you. Then there surged up from the secret of my heart the bright light of my marifa, the brightness of which clouded over theirs. That is the brightness of the lamps. And the angel was reduced to a gnat alongside my completeness. He continued to show me dominion that would wear out the tongue to describe. Through all that I knew he was testing me. I did not turn towards that out of respect for his sanctity. Throughout I said, oh my dear one, my goal is not what they are showing me. When Allah knew the sincerity of my will in quest for him, behold, there was an angel extending his hand and raising me up. Then, 4th heaven. Then I saw myself as if I had risen to the 4th heaven. There were all the angels with their attributes, figures, and qualities. They approached me, greeted me, and gazed at me like a people gazing at their prince the moment he enters their country. They raised their voices in praise and affirmation of divine unity because of the grandeur they saw in my cutting myself off from him and my refusal to turn to them. An angel greeted me who was said to be named Nayal. He extended his hand and sat me upon a throne, a kursi, placed upon the shore of a roaring sea whose beginning and end could not be seen. I was inspired with his recitation of praise and found myself pronouncing in his tongue. Still I did not turn to him. He continued to show me dominion that would wear out the tongue to describe. Through all that I knew he was testing me with it. I did not turn to him. Out of respect for his sanctity, I kept saying, "Oh, my dear one, my goal is other than that which you are showing me." When Allah Most High knew the sincerity of my aloneness for him in quest towards him, behold, there was an angel extending his hand, raising me up to him. The fifth heaven. Then I saw myself as if I had risen to the fifth heaven. There I was in the presence of angels who stood in the fifth heaven with their heads in the sixth, which dropped down light that made the heavens flash. They all saluted me in various languages, and I turned the salutations to them in every language in which they had saluted me. They were amazed at that. They said, "Oh, Abu Yazid," that's Bistami, "come up, ta'ali." See, ta'ali means come up, to recite Allah's praises in unity, and we will set aside for you whatever you wish. I did not turn to them out of respect for my Lord. At that point, there surged up in the secret of my heart springs of longing, and the light of the angels became in the light that radiated from me like a lamp placed on the sun. He continued to show me dominion that would wear out the tongue to describe. Though all that I knew that he was testing me, I kept saying, "Oh, my dear one, my goal is other than that which you are showing me." When Allah Most High, Ta'ala, knew the sincerity of my will to quest for him, behold, there was an angel raising me up to himself. The sixth heaven. Then I saw myself as if I had ascended to the sixth heaven and stood before the angels of longing. They approached me, greeted me, and boasted over me and of their longing, so I boasted over them with something of the secret of my heart. They continued to show me dominion that would wear out the tongue to describe. Throughout all that I knew he was testing me with these things, and I did not turn to them. When Allah Most High saw the sincerity of my will and my quest for him, behold, an angel was extending his arm and raising me up to himself. The seventh heaven. Then I saw myself as if I had risen to the seventh heaven. There were 100,000 legions of angels greeting me, each legion like the two heavy ones, 1,000 times. Every angel was of light. Under every standard were 1,000 angels. The length of each angel, a journey of 500 years. And I think the footnote says the same thing occurred for Moses or something. At their front was an angel called Bariel. They saluted me in their language, and I returned the salutation in their language. They were amazed at that. Then behold, a crier was crying out, "Oh, Abu Yazid, stop, you have arrived at the end." I did not turn towards his words. He continued to show me his dominion that would wear out the tongue to describe. Though through all that I knew he was testing me. In it, I kept saying, "Oh, my dear one, my goal is other than that which you are showing me." When Allah knew the sincerity of my will and quest for him, he turned me into a bird, each wing feather of which was greater than the distance from east to west 1,000 times. I continued flying through the Malakut and roaming through the Jaharut. I cut across kingdom after kingdom, veil after veils, dominions after dominions, sea after seas, curtains after curtains, till I stood before the angel of the throne, Percy, who received me. He had a column of white as he greeted me. He said, "Take the column." As soon as I took it, the heavens and everything in them were sheltered in the shade of my marifa, were illuminated in the light of my longing. All the angels were reduced to a gnat alongside the completeness of my aspiration in quest for him. Through all that, I knew he was testing me with it, and I did not turn to it out of respect for the sanctity of my Lord, Allah Most High. I continued to fly and roam kingdom after kingdom, veil after veil, dominion after dominion, sea after sea, curtain after curtain, until I ended up at a throne. I was received by angels with eyes as numerous as the stars of the heavens. For each eye there was a flashing a light that would illuminate the viewer. Those lights became lamps. In the interior of the lamps I heard chants of praise and divine unity. I continued to fly like that until I ended up at a sea of light with crashing waves. Alongside it, the light of the sun was darkened. There on the sea was a ship of light. Alongside its lights, the lights of those seas were darkened. I continued across sea after sea until I ended up at the greatest sea, on which was the royal throne of the compassionate. I continued to recite his praises until I saw all that there was, from the throne to the earth, a cherubim, angels, and the bearers of the royal throne, and others created by Allah Most High and glorious in the heavens and the earth, was smaller from the perspective of the flight of the secret of my heart and quest for him. Then a mustard seed between the sky and earth. Then he continued to show me the subtleties of his beneficence and the fullness of his power and the greatness of his sovereignty that would wear out the tongue to depict, and describe. Through all that, I kept saying, "Oh, my dear one, my goal is other than that which you are showing me. I too did not turn towards it out of respect for his sanctity." And when Allah Most High, glorious, knew the sincerity of my will and quest for him, he called out to me, and said, "Oh, my chosen one, Sufi, come near to me. Look upon the plains of my splendor and the domains of my brightness. Sit upon the carpet of my holiness until you see the subtleties of my artisanshipness. You are my chosen one, my beloved, and the best of my creatures." Upon hearing that, it was as if I were melting into the melting lead. Then he gave me a drink from the spring of graciousness and the cup of intimacy. Then he brought me to a state that I was unable to describe. Then he brought me closer and closer to him until I was near to him. Then the spirit is to the body. Then the spirit of each prophet received me, saluted me, and glorified my situation. They spoke to me, and I spoke to them. Then the spirit of Muhammad, the blessings and peace of God be upon him, received me, saluted me, and said, "Abu, welcome, welcome. Allah has preferred you over many of his creatures. When you return to earth, bear to my community my salutation. Give them sincere advice as much as you can, and call them to Allah Most High." He kept on this until I was like he was before the creation, and only the real remained. We had read from the Miraj, the ascent of Bistami into heaven.